Hey there, vcehhd students. My name's Andy. I'm a VC Health and Human Development teacher. In this short video, we're going to look at optimal health and wellbeing as a resource, and this is relevant to Unit 3 HHD. As you can see here, you can follow the Health Resources Hub on our social media. We've got Instagram and TikTok and also a Facebook page, or you can send us an email at info@thehrh.net.au if you've got any questions. So what part of the course does this relate to? We can see here from the Unit 3 key knowledge and key skills that one of the key knowledge points is looking at benefits of optimal health and well-being. It's important as a resource individually and nationally and globally. And then the key skill, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, the key skills relate to how you have to put the key knowledge into action, is asking you to be able to explain the individual, national, and global importance of health and well-being as a resource. So let's start by just touching on what is optimal health and well-being. And so not only is this relevant for this key knowledge point and this key skill, but also just when you're looking at health and well-being and the dimensions of health and well-being. So if there's a question about optimal health and well-being, it's not necessarily related to having high levels of all of the dimensions of health and well-being, but it could just be in relation to a particular dimension of health and well-being can still help you to experience optimal health and well-being. So you can see there, given the example about being free from illness and disease would be an example of optimal physical health and well-being. So if a question asks about just generally optimal health and well-being, you can link that to a specific dimension and use an example of high levels in that dimension to reference having optimal health and well-being. So then what about optimal health and well-being as a resource? So a resource is generally thought of as something that can be drawn upon as required. So sometimes in class, perhaps teachers might use the example of money as a resource. And so that can be used obviously to purchase things and access things. So in relation to optimal health and well-being, if you have high levels of one or more of the dimensions of health and well-being, well, that allows you to draw upon this and do things. So engage in a variety of activities, and many of those can benefit an individual, but also they might benefit the nation and the globe. And so that's where we're looking at optimal health and well-being as a resource individually, nationally, and globally. So you should know some examples of how optimal health and wellbeing can be a resource individually, nationally, and globally. So you'll see here are some examples in relation to individually. So it allows an individual to do things. So that might be to attend school and gain an education. And so you can think about how then optimal health and wellbeing is benefiting the individual. It's allowing them to be well enough to then go to school and gain an education, which they can obviously then use in their life. They can attend work and earn an income, or they might be able to care and raise their family. And so it's really giving examples that link into what that individual is able to do if they have high levels or optimal health and well-being. So I won't talk through every one of those examples there, but make sure if there's a question about individually that you are able to give one or more of these answers, depending on how many marks that question is worth, and show what allows an individual to be able to do. So then beyond an individual, you could be asked about optimal health and well-being as a resource nationally. And so nationally, obviously, he's talking about for a country. So the question is most likely going to be focusing on Australia. And so what does it mean, or how does a country benefit if there are large numbers of individuals within that country that have high levels of health and well-being? So you can see a few examples here. So the first one is talking about more people are able to attend work, and therefore that contributes to tax revenue to the government, and then the government can spend that on national priorities, and they might be things like education or infrastructure or healthcare. So you can see through that example that if lots of people have high levels of health and well-being, okay, then the country benefits. The second example there is talking about more people being able to engage in community groups and activities such as volunteering, and that's obviously contributing, okay, nationally to, okay, those community activities and that social participation. The third one there, less people in the health system, that provides more space and opportunities for others who are unwell to be treated. So you can see there once again, more people are well, have optimal health and well-being, they're less likely to have health conditions and spend time in the health system. So hopefully you get the gist there that when high numbers or lots of people within a country have high levels of health and well-being, that benefits the nation. So once again, just know several examples and be able to draw upon that in a question. And then what about globally? So if across the world more people are experiencing high levels of health and well-being, so you can see there more people are likely to be able to work together across countries or across nations on global challenges such as climate change, and that obviously can benefit the globe. The second one there is talking about people more likely to be able to attend work and contribute to global trade, so trading between countries and economic development across the globe, and that might reduce the number of people that are living in poverty across the globe. So it's really thinking about across the globe, more people having high levels of optimal health and well-being. How might that benefit the globe? And often it's got to do with different countries being able to work together and what that means for the globe. So once again, make sure you know a number of different examples for that one too. So you can see here we've got a sample question and a sample answer. So this one here is asking you to explain how less people developing the health condition dementia could act as a resource for Australia. So sometimes you might have to look at a question and do some interpreting. And so this question here doesn't necessarily say optimal health and well-being, but it does talk about less people developing a health condition. And so in your mind, you should be thinking, okay, if less people are developing a health condition, that means more people are likely to be experiencing high levels of optimal health and well-being. And because it then says acts as a resource for Australia, in your head, you should be thinking, okay, well, it mentions that term acting as a resource, so that's likely related to this key knowledge point. And it's talking about Australia, so that's nationally. So sometimes you have to look at a question, you've got to think about what key knowledge point is this actually related to in the course to make sure that then your answer is aligned to what you've learned. So you can see here a sample answer. I always encourage my students when it's questions related to how optimal health and well-being can act as a resource to start by framing your answer with, I guess, the context of more people having high levels of optimal health and well-being. So you can see here with the sample answer, I've said there with less people in Australia developing dementia, more time is likely to be spent in optimal health and well-being. And this may contribute to individuals spending less time in the healthcare system where the government can save tax expenditure and then use these savings on other projects such as national infrastructure. And look at how I've finished that answer there. I've talked about those savings being spent on national infrastructure to show how this is then acting as a resource for that country or for Australia. Down the bottom of the slide there, you can see if you haven't signed up to our free student newsletter where I send out free SAC tips and resources a couple of times each term, as well as tips and resources leading up to the exam at the end of the year, well, please head along there and you'll see there is a subscribe button there where you can sign up to get our free student newsletter. Okay, also, if you found this useful, you might be interested in the ACE revision questions book that I've worked on for HHD for the new study design for 2025 to 2029. You can head to book.acedvc.com to place an order for this. There's over 500 marks worth of questions, as well as a full chapter on extended response questions. So as I said, that's available now and can be placed in the post if you put an order in. But also you can head to our website, thehrh.net.au, where there's other opportunities for students and teachers. Okay, hopefully you found this video useful. Thanks so much.